Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, this ain't gonna be that long of a video, I don't think, because it's kind of one to give you guys what I think maybe a perspective is behind the scenes I haven't heard. Just speculation, of course. I don't know anybody, but in looking at the DeAndre Ayton, Monty Williams situation, people are getting on Monty for not speaking with Ayton in the offseason after they had a pretty bad moment, I guess, in their elimination game in the Western Conference Finals. Now, or semifinals actually. Did they make the finals? No, they did not. It was the semifinals, of course. Now, when I look at the situation, what comes to mind is the fact that I think that Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton both thought DeAndre Ayton was going to be gone. So there would be no reason to have icebreaker conversations of what went wrong, let's fix it, let's build forth. Listening to a lot of people say, oh, it's the coach's job to reach out to the players. Yes, it is. Players that he thinks he's going to be coaching, not ones that he thinks are going to be leaving the free agency. Everybody thought that DeAndre Ayton's contract would not be matched by the Suns, all the way up until the final hour. So, yeah, it would have been great if they would have saw hindsight to just be, willing to fix that just amongst themselves as people, just, so they have good energy amongst themselves. Sure, that's great, but is that necessary, really? Nah, we're professionals, and as far as I can tell, you're going to be leaving. So, you know what I mean? That's kind of how it has to be. We had problems. Okay, good. Now we're moving on. I'm imagining they would probably be happy moving on from one another if the situation wasn't very good. They didn't win, and so this is just a situation where Ayton obviously came back because there was no choice in the matter. He was a restricted free agent. He signed a offer sheet with the Pacers, and it was matched. Not within his control. As far as I can tell, his agreement was to go to the Pacers. He was hoping that they probably wouldn't match. But most importantly, it was that he signed and get the money. Now that he got his money, it's like, all right, do I like the situation? I think he's answering that question. So that's really it. I mean, I don't really have much more to share with you in regards to this particular situation. We'll wait and see if his feelings manifest into some type of trade request or if things smooth out. Obviously, Monty Williams is a guy that you expect can communicate with his player. And since he is going to be working with Ayton going forward, in the event no trade takes place, I'm sure conversations are just inevitably going to be taking place. So whatever the angst may be, it's going to get figured out. It's going to have to get figured out. And look, this is the thing. If I'm on one of these teams that have these scandals going on, the Boston Celtics, the Phoenix, of course, not so much the Lakers and the Nets, but I guess you can piggyback this just the same. The struggles that you've gone through should bring guys close together. I piggyback what Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley are trying to do. That should be the attitude for everybody, especially those in those two situations. Because at the end of the day, these things are above you. They're beyond you. What just took place in the offseason was above you and beyond you. Teams couldn't get moved around. Trades didn't happen. That was above you and beyond you. There was a lot of stuff that happened, and that's why teams look the way they are. So everybody should become an professional. Everybody should understand that they could be moved mid-season. Everybody should understand that they're playing from behind the eight ball if they're on one of these teams that have to make changes or have gone through great change. So I look at teams with stability and a lot of depth as teams that I would bet on, but some of these teams have such game-changing pieces that you never know who can go where and change what. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, Just this Ayton thing is kind of heating up. And I just think people are looking at it a certain way in regards to the Monty Williams. And like I said, I do think it's on Monty Williams to just in general reach out and kind of make that right if the situation was really, really bad. But I don't really know what happened. To be honest with you, I don't remember any incident. I didn't follow it after that series ended. I moved on. I'm the guy that covers the games, and I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at what I saw. And usually during those games, when it started looking like Phoenix wasn't really about to do anything, I was only half paying attention to that series in place of other series. So I didn't catch that, and I didn't hear much about it. So if they had a blow up or if it was something else going on, it didn't reach my radar. However, I'm aware. I'm aware at this point that there's at least some static there, and hopefully, Monty Williams, with the high character that he has, can make it right because he's the bigger man in the situation. Obviously, Aiden's a younger guy. Don't expect Aiden to be the one to reach out in this situation. I don't. It would have to be Monty. He's going to have to communicate whatever needs to be communicated and make it right, I guess, or whatever. So I'd expect that they would do that. And, also expect that Jones in the front office is going to be making some phone calls right now. Obviously, he's trying to get Crowder moved. We've talked about this at length. But I do expect that there may be some bigger moves made with Phoenix. I just don't know what they're going to do with their roster. Obviously, they're kind of cash strapped with different contracts, so they can only get but so much better unless they move a massive piece. Devin Booker's obviously untouchable. Chris Paul, you would imagine, is untouchable. So you'd imagine DeAndre Ayton is on the move if they're going to do anything, and maybe Mikal Bridges, which I wouldn't advise either. So, what can they do is the question. My mindset has always been, you take a look at your timeline and you make sense of it. If you can win with Chris Paul, you keep him. If you can't win with Chris Paul, then that's who you move. It's very simple. The problem is, how do you move Chris Paul's contract with it being that price? Well, the good thing is, unlike Russell Westbrook, you expect him to be all-star, win now, very capable of helping you. So you won't look at that as a salary dump if someone wants to acquire it. The question is, who would want to take that on? And I don't know. I haven't done the homework on that. So this is a situation where it's like you could see a shakeup of catastrophic proportions if players start deciding they're unhappy and want to move. Jaylen Brown is somebody I'm paying attention to because it's already been rumored that he wasn't too thrilled about how things went with his name being involved in the KD trade rumors. He might want to take a look at maybe another situation for himself, since this one has clearly soured, to say the least, for Boston Celtics. And then, I look at some of the other players around the situation as well. It's another piece that I can't think of on another team it became clear to me that they're a free agent. Vucevic from Chicago. I was listening to Kenny Farrell this morning, and he said that Vucevic is going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. So that right there tells me he should be in the mix as a big piece that can be moved for Ayton. I'm looking at him, I'm looking at Jakob Poeltl, and I'm looking at Ayton. I'm saying you could swap all three of them for one another and make life real easy for yourself, adding picks to the situation to make it make sense. So there's a lot of different things that I can see in my head that are possible, and so on and so forth. So as I look at these unhappy players, I'm wondering how many of these owners believe in these cores that these players are a part of. If I'm Joe Tsai and I'm looking at the KD situation, I would love to get flexible, man. KD's going to turn around and say he's not happy just because we've lost a couple games. At this point, I'm not seeing him as a sturdy piece, even though I got a 4-year contract with him. If I can get out from under that, I'm probably going to do so. I'm not going to lie to you. That's how I'm looking at it if I'm the Nets right now. Like, nothing here is stable at all. At this point, and see, I guess I'm looking at their situation differently than they are because they have the pressure of the New York market. But for me, I'm just like, if I'm Joe Tsai, I'm giving this a year, maybe even a half a year, based on circumstances. But if I don't like what I see, I'm moving people. I'm moving people you don't think I'm moving, because he can reset his timeline. As I preach all the time, some of these teams just need to honestly reset their timeline. Pull up Portland, and just don't worry about talent at the moment. Just make sure that your books is straight, and then get the picks necessary. Utah, obviously, pull up Utah, trade away everything for as many picks as possible, and just get right. Because if you look at where Utah is going to be potentially over the next 7 years, they could be at the top of the Western Conference very soon. Them, OKC, all these teams that are loading up, Houston, they're the teams that are coming because they have all the assets. It's the teams that are trying to go win now. They're going to be at the bottom of the league at that time. You can project that. That's very obvious to project, especially the ones that are failing at it right now. So it's just like they can, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you're going to be a part of that. You're very much one of those teams, and don't have to be. So I look at them that way. I look at a couple other teams that have cores that aren't quite good enough that way, to be honest with you. But theirs have the age attached to it that make it this way. Some would say the Lakers too, honestly. Looking at AD and Bron, but with Bron it's just a bit different because of the consistency. and the level that he's played his entire career, you just want to see him age out. And with Anthony Davis, I just, am giving him a year. I like what I've seen from him, but I do worry greatly about his health. I worry greatly. And as a Laker fan, I've never made a secret about that. So, I would love to say I'm as high on AD as I was when he got here, but that's just not true anymore. He's going to have to regain that. And if for the right price, I would move him. I would for the right piece, or pieces. If I thought it made me absolutely better, he's not untouchable, man. I'm sorry, Laker Nation. He's just not. I'm a realist, and he can get us a hell of a haul. He can get us a hell of a haul, especially if he raises his trade value or his overall value. So, it's going to be about a wait and see, because my thing is, if he gets back up to that super, super duper level, then, obviously I'm singing a different tune. But he's a guy who's going to have to show me that when he hits the floor, we can get away with not having these anxiety moments as fans. It's going to be about, it's not just about him getting in shape, it's about how he reacts to him falling, how he feels about, It's those type of things that are really going to tell the difference about the overall sentiment in regards to Anthony Davis, because a lot of people, including myself, I don't think we can actually appreciate what he brings to the table from a basketball standpoint as much, because it's not a lot of stuff that meets the eye. You know what I mean? It's not like he's jumping out the gym or crossing people up like Kyrie or something like that. His game comes a little more subtly. So if it's not translating to us winning and performing well, it's easy to not see what it is that he's ultimately all doing. So that's ultimately what it is for me, man. I just want to know that he's sturdy enough to live up to the contract, right? Because when you have somebody at a max level contract, it's just about whether or not their body's going to be able to hold the weight of that contract. So, like I said, I like Anthony Davis' prototype as a player. I'm a huge fan of him, Evan Mobley, and anybody else that's coming into the league like that. That's something you do not undervalue by any stretch of the imagination. But it's just about him. It's like, if I have this amazing piece, but every time it hits the ground, I'm worried if it's going to be out for the season. It's not just about what he can do for me. It's about how I feel about what he can do for me and how I react to every time he hits the floor. I know it's a weird kind of dynamic there. It is, and I guess I just speak for myself when I say that, but I don't remember feeling that way about many other players, and I think it's because of what he represents. You know what I mean? It's like, if he goes down, it's all over, because of how the team was constructed during its past couple seasons. Now, this time we got more bigs, so maybe that can change a little bit, but it's just we had too much relying upon a piece that just really, really has injury aura, and I hear people say, oh, well, if you look up, you realize Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have missed more games than him. Man, it's like, I get that. And trust me, with Kawhi Leonard, that's a whole nother story, but I don't get the same feeling watching Paul George run around, even if he is missing the same games. It doesn't have the same energy about it. It's not like you don't, you know what I mean? It's just a weird thing to where you just worry a great deal. And so it's always a heart attack for us. And that's really it. So, I want it to translate to him playing great. If we're going to deal with that, let's deal with the greatness of it all. We gave up certain things with players. Shaq couldn't shoot free throws, all right, but he did everything else fantastic, so we never had a problem. Pau Gasol didn't play like Shaq. We were used to people tearing the rim down, play powerful, okay, but he was doing everything else perfect, and we were winning championships, so we gave it up. But with AD, the injuries and stigma with that ain't coming with good play. You see what I'm saying? At least the other guys, when they had these little issues, they came with the good play. We getting the championships and all that. With AD, we got one ring, and that's great. Great. You know what I'm saying? We got it. But these other seasons have left really bad taste in our mouths, and we can't shake that off just because we got that championship. And maybe that's just speaks to the type of, fan base that we are. We always spoil. No, that's cool. I get it. But even still, you just have to look at how you're constructing your team and say, is this the most sturdy piece? Is my foundation strong? And when I look at LeBron James, I say no, not with his age, just straight up no. Even though I love what he's done and where we're at, I think we're all honest about his age. because I'm 4 months older than him, so I know exactly where he's at as it pertains to how many times he's been around the moon, or however that goes. You know what I'm saying? How many times he's been on, seen the light of day come up and go down. I too have seen it as many times as he has. So what I'm telling you is, it's almost up, man. I don't care how long he can go physically. His mind, he gonna get tired of this, man. He just wear down and just doing the same stuff over and over again in life. So at some point over the next couple of years, we're gonna have to say goodbye to Bron, and with that comes the understanding that this is not a stable situation. So if his co-star was more stable, if that Anthony Davis piece was a bit more like, okay, I know for a fact I got this guy. When Bron leave, this guy's taking the steps and we're going forward. With Anthony Davis, it's more like when Bron leaves, okay, now we're going to trade Anthony Davis for the pieces that can help us reset. Because you don't keep Anthony Davis in that situation because the timeline ain't going to make no sense. He's too old to be in that situation. You have to immediately bring him another LeBron James. You see what I'm saying? And you can't do that. That's not something that's possible. So AD's attached to Bron in my mind. Simple as that. And maybe the Lakers don't look at it that way. Maybe that's not how they see it. I've said in my mind, he's attached to Bron. Once Bron's gone, it's about whether or not I got the piece to bring AD a champion. And if I can't do that, then I'm moving AD to a place where he could be a champion, and I'm taking all their picks. I'm scooping them up, I'm resetting the timeline, and we're going to go forward with those pieces and all these other stuff that we can get with our picks and reset the timeline. But nobody likes that plan. Nobody likes that plan, even though that's the plan that's going to make you a multiple champion if you do it right. But nobody likes that plan. Everybody wants to win now. Let's do it right now. Everything's about right now. What happens after this? Who knows? But right now is right now, so we doing it right now. It's like, all right, cool. We do it right now. I'm on board. But the foundation isn't strong. It's a lot of different ways this can go wrong, and we need to just see it play itself out at this point. We're already committed. So that's where I stand on my Laker thing. That's how I've always stood on my Laker thing. That's been what it is. And like I said, if I can find a piece that's more sturdy than Anthony Davis, I will assess if it makes sense to make the move. That's the exact thought. I ain't going to just pull the trigger on. No. We will assess if it makes sense to make the move. Is how I would want the Lakers to approach that. And if it does, you do it. Damn it, if it's Kevin Durant, you do it. I've been saying that since July, June. If you can get KD for AD, you do that. Period. Okay, that 4-year contract and that talent level, it fits with Bron more, man. It fits with Bron more. We already got the bigs. It's easy to move them around. I don't know. I'm just thinking too much. I'm sorry. BDF 44 has been kind of mulling over this for a long time, and this is one of those situations where it's like, at the end of the day, if I have to come down to it, what would I rather have? Well, in most years, it's Kevin Durant, and this is one of them years. This is one of those years. I just know. It's not even about the shape that Anthony's in. It's not about that. I just know what Kevin Durant brings to the table, man. It's different. It's different. And AD is different, too. More defensively. You get more defensively. But I'm looking at that piece of Bron James. I'm looking at Bron, and I'm saying, the style of play that I want Bron to play right now. If AD isn't faster, and I've said this a million times in this camera recently, if he isn't faster, he's slowing us down. If he isn't hitting jump shots, he's taking away from us. And that is, we don't have enough shooting around us to make that make sense. Talk about the specific fit of right now. Short-sighted in nature, because it's a 4-year contract you're trying to assess. But what I'm saying is the fit right now, we got enough defensive bigs, even though there's no such thing. Don't get it twisted. But as it pertains to what you don't have with your shooting, you got the bigs, you don't have the shooting. KD comes in and helps you with both. Because, of course, he's not exactly a small person like myself. He's a 7-footer. In fact, he's taller than Anthony. You don't look at him as a bigger player, but he is. That's the strange things about it. Not heavier, but taller and longer. So, that is the deal, man. That's the deal. We love AD here, man. We respect our champion, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying we shop him for just any old piece. I'm not ready to ship him off for nothing. But if I can get a Hall of Famer on a 4-year contract and accompany the Kyrie Irving piece that I want any damn way, and all I got to give up is the guy that gives me anxiety attacks when he falls? Come on, man. and then Bron can ship off if he wants to go into the sunset 2 years from now. I still got a piece in place like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. I wish Anthony Davis held that same cachet at this point. He did when we traded for him, but right now it's like, Anthony Davis. Ooh. It's one of those, as opposed to, okay, yeah, we strong. Got Anthony Davis, what is it, year 13, whatever it be? Strong. Anthony Davis, year 13? What kind of shape he's in? How's he been doing for the last couple of years? Did he have any more injuries? That's what I'm thinking. And that's unfortunate. But, Kevin Durant, you can say he's much older, this, that, the third, but at the end of the day, the man's going to be able to park it from behind the arc and hit every open shot ever given to him. Which means as he ages, if nothing else, he turns into an elaborate Robert Horry, if nothing else. At absolute worst, he's hitting every clutch shot thrown his way. So, that's exactly what I think of Kevin Durant. That's at his worst. At his best, he's himself. At his worst, Big Shot Rob. Hitting all of them. So, at the end of the day, this is not a conversation for me, man. This is not a conversation for me because I know the Lakers are not looking to do this. This is not the sentiment of the league. It's not the murmurs. I'm a weird guy. I don't follow trends. I'm not listening to what people are saying and saying, okay, that is why. No, not necessarily in this case. No, this is just me assessing what I think is ultimately going to help our team have the best path forward. Make LeBron James' contract make the most sense. Give us the best opportunity to be able to fall back on if injuries occur. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I do respect that Kevin Durant's Achilles injury is a thing. I do respect that Kevin Durant said he don't want to play with LeBron James and all that years ago. I do respect that they're in Brooklyn and they've settled on that. And a lot of the things that I was hanging my hat on or why they were doing or not doing what they were doing are things that they've debunked, including my idea that Kyrie Irving and KD were helping one another with their contractual circumstances. They debunked that. So a lot of what I'm thinking about is, probably has to be reassessed. But at the end of the day, I still see a situation where it makes sense, more sense for the Lakers than they want to give it credit for. More sense for the Lakers than they want to give it credit for, I believe, to make that trade. And I see the fruit of not making that trade. I see a lot of different angles for why you don't make that trade, including honoring the fact that AD wanted to be here, forced his way here, and now you let him play out that contract. That's a big part of this. But if you're ready to forgo that for a chance at a championship for which you're doing everything else for, this win now mindset, we're going following LeBron, then you got to go all the way in. And when you say all the way in, to assess how far that actually is requires a lot of thought. Because you may think you're going as far as you can go, but what I'm telling you is if KD becomes available, you can go further. That's all I'm saying. So that is my assessment. And maybe Bron doesn't agree with that. Maybe he'd rather play with AD. Maybe he'd rather play with his brother. I respect that. So if Bron say no, Bron always should be the guy that you listen to in regards to the situation because he's the one you're doing all this for once again. But for my money, I want KD's 4-year contract, man. I do. I would rather have that than AD. I just worry about AD too much. And when it's time to repay AD, I'm worried that I'm going to not want to do that at the price he's going to want it. I'm already thinking like that. Because his price tag, it's going to be up. I mean, we're not thinking about that over the next couple of years because we got him. I think his contract's at least for another 2 years. So we got him. But what I'm saying is, he going to want that same max money. He's deserving of it because of his cachet. And at that point, going forward, I don't know if I believe in Anthony Davis like that. I don't know if years 13 through 15, 16, I trust. Nah, I don't know. It's going to have to be about this season and can he carry forth good health and habits from what it is he's been working on in his body right now. If he keeps all that up, you have a believer in me. If he takes steps backwards and start taking on more injuries, I will wish we traded him now. And that's why I'm assessing all of this. So, it's the Kobe Minute. You know how I get down. 24th. Rest in peace to our guy. I thank you all for watching BDL 44. It's my opinion.